I'm assuming you can hear this.
Yes.
Beauty.
Two bald guys and they're talking about hockey. Two bald guys and they're talking about hockey. Two bald guys and they're talking about hockey. Two bald guys talking about hockey. Two bald guys and they're 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 talking about hockey. And they're bald. And there's hockey. Hockey.
We're back after a long break
Mm,
of not being bald guys talking hockey.
yes.
Well,
We
we were
have,
bald guys, but
unfortunately, we have to have jobs that pay the
yes,
bills right now.
yes, unfortunately.
We can't do this full time.
Not yet. My wife refuses to allow me this privilege.
Yeah.
So yes, we are back. We when was the last time we talked? Like it was a while ago. It was
Oh, it was it 3, 4 weeks? It was at least 3 weeks.
yeah, I think so.
It
I
was three
think it's
weeks
been that
ago.
long.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
but we're back. There's lots to talk about because we haven't been around in a while
mm-hmm.
and some interesting stuff to talk about. So, okay. So, DCHL final, New Jersey won their first championship. Congratulations, Mark, who
Yes.
is probably watching the show, but was too busy to join us because he was hanging out with his daughter tonight. So,
It's like around my house,
probably has a
Father's
full
Day
head of
ends at five
hair.
o'clock. Then I have to do the dishes and take out the garbage.
You see, when you're a championship team winner, you don't have to do the little shows, yeah. You only have to do the
Exactly.
big ones. So he's done TSN, he's done Rogers Sportsnet, but he hasn't done the two bald guys. So
Yeah.
we're just the little fish in the big pond
Yeah.
of sports talk.
Yeah, he came on our show.
Yeah, actually, and this is a good point because I feel like we shouldn't have trouble having people come on our show in the summer now because he came on in the summer and then won the following season.
Yes.
And
He
who
he
was the one who predicted his team was going to win?
yeah,
Right here.
Steve. And
Right here.
Utah came on our show also, and they made it to the conference finals.
And 5 million DCHL cash is in my pocket because
Oh,
I predicted I
did
won
you
the
yes, it's true.
DCHL playoff pool. Carried New Jersey all the way through.
You are the brains of this operation
I, yeah, I
and
mean,
the looks.
and I'm just gonna say this: if we're relying on me to be the brains and you to be the beauty, then we're in trouble.
Yes, we are on both sides.
It's a disaster waiting to happen, my friend. Even a blind squirrel can find a net. So, and I feel like that's what happened there.
Uh, Probably. It's you know what, like trying to predict, do a bracket like that. Uh, Sometimes you overthink everything. It's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna just in case there's a an upset on this one. There has to be an upset. I'm gonna pick this series to be an upset. So no excuses. Just didn't pan out for me this year
That's okay.
on
I
many.
am all about the it didn't pan out for me this year. So I won 5 million DCHL cash, but I would have taken the playoffs in a heartbeat. So
So talk about winning cash. We need to know if the Gelato Sportsbook went bankrupt this year.
I can't believe they brought it back after the absolute complete effing disaster it was
I
the
love,
last
I
time.
love that it's back, and I lost money on it also. So, a but and I love that it's back.
So you put money in? You
Yeah,
gambled again this year?
I gambled again this year. Last time I made a whole lot of cash, and now I just blew money away.
I'm not gonna lie, I considered putting money down on Leon Draisaitl leading the finals in scoring. That was the one thing I went,
Yeah,
but I worked that night when it closed, which probably saved me money. So
yeah. I I messaged Mike last minute, and he said no, it's still open, and then I wasted $2 million.
well,
No,
there you go.
1.5 because no, not even, because I went over for the number of goals scored in the finals, and freaking I needed 5 goals to be scored, and he scored 3. So yes, I wasted $2 million. Yes,
And I would have wasted, but unfortunately I had to work and
turned out to be a
and that
good
ended
thing.
up making me money and saving me money. So okay, so you brought this up right before we went live, and since we're talking about the finals, Jeremy Swayman is now available to the DCHL.
Yes, I am just shocked. Like, he just brought Vancouver to the cup final. They lost in 6 games. And
And
it's not as if, like, um it's not as if New
his window is
Jersey
closing.
blew them, like, gave up 2 goals in the last game, 5 in game 5, 1 in game 4, 3 in game 3, 2, 2. Yeah, so, like, he was awesome in the playoffs and in the finals. He's not the reason why they lost in the finals.
Oh,
I'm just, and his contract, he's an RFA, and he's got 2 years left on his deal.
and he's going to be well rated next year. He was, I mean, he
So,
wasn't great this year in the NHL, but I don't see his rating taking a huge hit
and
for what he's getting paid.
yeah, 3.2 million for 3.25 million for the
That's
next
cheaper than
two
Freddie
years.
Anderson,
Yes,
and he's a
and
better goalie.
he put up Kocheskov, Kocheskov.
Yeah, the Carolina backup slash
Yes,
probably starter for half the season
yes. So,
because Anderson will be injured at some point every year.
but he's like, Jean doesn't have another goalie.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I just wonder sometimes if it's the idea that I'll put this great player up and see if somebody wants to
Will
overpay.
bite and overpay for him.
Yeah, but I just don't know that there's enough. There's just too many sharks in this league. Too many guys that want to rip you off.
Yes.
You're not going to get too many people. Like I don't know. Like I would love to have Jeremy Swayman on my team, but what am I going to offer him that's going to be better? That's going to make my team better, right? Like I just don't see it. So
Oh, so
anyway, so yeah, I mean, congrats to both guys for making it
yeah.
all the way. I mean, that was fantastic. It was an exciting. Like I was riveted every night checking the results. I forgot that it went to every night for the finals,
Okay. Uh,
and I was annoyed when I saw the like it was game 3 I saw because I tuned in thinking I was going to see game 2 and then game 3. But I mean, wow, I can only
and
imagine.
and if you think, um Was it 2002? Yeah, I think it was 2002, maybe 2003. The Canucks didn't have that good of a team. They were still rebuilding. 2002.
22,
They
you mean.
they finished, they had the 5th pick in the draft.
22, not 2000.
Yeah, 22, sorry. 2022.
Yeah. They've come a long way.
So
And
three years ago, they were at the bottom of the league, and now they're at Stanley Cup finalist. So great job, Jean. It's and Mark. Like Mark has been around for a few years, and I told you before, it's not easy to stay at the top of the league because you start to run out of assets to trade away.
well, when you're always trading away your first round pick, as a lot of these guys do,
Yeah.
it's amazing that they can stay in the game.
So yeah, great job to both GMs, and it's nice to see that a GM that had a team at the bottom of the league 3 years ago is now a Stanley Cup finalist. So there's hope for us at the bottom of the league.
Okay, so let's move on to the NHL finals.
Yes.
And okay, I had to work early this morning, so I did not stay up and watch last night's game beyond the first period. But it doesn't really look like I missed a whole lot after the first period anyway.
It's like McDavid and Draisaitl are awesome. Okay. And Edmonton has more depth than it did last year and the year before, but Florida is a wagon. Like, it's, if you think that their third line is Anton Frandel, Brad Marchand, and the Russian there. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name.
Well, just saying the first two names there.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad Marchand being on a third line is insane.
Yeah. And if you know, their second line is Sam Bennett with Matthew Tkachuk. It's like, wow. So that's what's happening is Edmonton can't compete with that 5-on-5.
No.
And then when they start to take penalties, they start giving power play goals.
Yeah, it's amazing to be watching both these teams, and you're watching their best players be amazing.
Their best players.
And
amazing.
I watched game 4. I went into a bar on the Thursday night.
Yep.
It was 3-0 Florida when I walked in the bar. And like 10 minutes later, it was 3-3. And it was the same guys that you expect to be like when you're watching Draisaitl and you're watching, like, McDavid didn't score on this play, but he went through like the entire Florida lineup and made a breakaway out of a 1-on-5. And I mean, amazing save by Bobrovsky. But when you're watching McDavid and Draisaitl do that, every shift they get on the ice, and you know, you're watching Marchand. I wouldn't say Tkachuk's been great in these playoffs, but Marchand has been amazing. Barkov has been amazing. Like, the best Florida players are being the best Florida players, and it's exciting hockey.
I was thinking about Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, how he hasn't been as good as I expected him to be in these playoffs. He's got 22 points. Barkov and Marchand have 20, and Verhaeghe has 20. Like, he's tied with Sam Bennett for the scoring lead.
That's interesting because I would definitely say they're like, how many does Marchand have?
20.
Like, I would say hands down, Marchand has been better than Tkachuk. Hands down.
Yeah.
And he has
I would
4
agree.
points.
I would agree.
Like that goal he scored, the opening goal, was just that's a sniping, man. Like that is a beautiful goal. And I can't blame Pickard.
So, and you know, I was telling you their depth, their their eighth scoring leader. Yeah, their eighth scoring leader is Anton Lundell. He's got 17 points in 22 games. That's their eighth scoring leader.
Almost a point per game.
Yeah.
Wow. No, they're a powerhouse. And the fact that Edmonton is with them, I still don't put Edmonton out of this, by the way. I still don't. I will say that even if Edmonton wins game 6, I don't put it past Florida going into Edmonton and winning game 7. Like it's not a sure thing. Like I see Edmonton having like a 1 in 3 chance here at best.
The Edmonton to win, Draisaitl and McDavid are gonna have to just come out and just take over the game.
25 minutes of ice time each game, and
they're each getting 4 or 5 points.
Yeah,
that's how they're gonna come back for game 7.
Amazing. Like, and that the hockey has been amazing.
Yes, it has. It's been awesome. It's been so much fun to watch as a fan. So
yes, it would be nice for Canada to win a series, but even last year was exciting because Edmonton came back.
Yeah,
but I think compared to last year, the hockey has been much better this year than in last year. It's like I am riveted by, and it's watching these great players be amazing. Like when Draisaitl has the puck, that goal he scored in overtime. I mean, it went in off the guy's skate, but it just I don't know how I knew, but I knew he was putting the puck in the net half a second before he put the puck in the net, and he one-handed it.
Yeah,
like
it's Jason York from Coming in Hot and former Ottawa Senators calls Leon Draisaitl playoff Leon, and when playoff Leon comes in, he's the best hockey player in the world, including Connor McDavid. And again, he's proving it this year because he's tied with McDavid for most points, 33 each in 21 games.
Well, I heard that if Edmonton wins, it's an automatic to give McDavid the.
To me, it's not.
No, I wouldn't at all. And you know me, I love McDavid, but Draisaitl 5 overtime goals so far in this playoffs, and he's been absolutely dominant.
And if Edmonton wins, that means Draisaitl and McDavid, blew up and just got a whole bunch of points and goals.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Like I said, best final series I've seen in a long time.
And you know what? Not just the finals, like what Rantanen did when he was in the against the Jets, against Colorado, was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So just going to move on to our next topic that I'm calling out a few of the DCHL GMs who've criticized us for talking too much about the draft in these podcasts.
We've talked about the draft this year.
We have hardly talked about the draft this year, and the finals is over. So bring it on, bitches.
If I can, point out, and I don't know if I said it before, but the GM, we are a show to entertain the DCHL owners, GMs. Let's remember that when the playoffs start, 16 owners are out. That's half the league. They're out.
And including us.
Yes. So the draft is what we're looking forward to.
And I'd also add to that that the draft is sort of in our personal wheelhouse. Like
Yeah.
it's something that we love, even without the DCHL.
Yeah.
We're
Yes, that,
burying ourselves into the draft because we love it. I think the
Mhm.
draft is probably half the reason I'm in the DCHL is just because I love to be a part of a draft like that.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, sorry guys, but gloves are off and we're coming for you.
Yes. We're starting to
Okay.
talk about the draft again.
So what I wanted to bring up tonight and just to get your input, and we really haven't like you have like I think you know what my general ideas, but I don't know what your answers are going to be. But there's been a lot like the draft this year, it's pretty much understood that Matthew Schaefer goes first and Michael Misa goes second. Like there is small possibilities of that not happening, but I'm pretty sure the likelihood is that
The draft starts at 3.
at three.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, personally, I like James Higgins at 3. I think he's the third best player. But I'm hearing this week Anton Frondel is the after the meetings that Chicago's leaning towards Frondel. And Porter Martone's been talked there. Caleb Desnoyers has been talked there. Brady Martin has been talked there. Like there, Roger McQueen, actually, I've heard talked there.
Jake O'Brien.
Like there's been lots of different players mocked into number 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the only reason that Chicago is that all these other names are being added, it's not because James Higgins is not the third best player in the draft. It's because he's 5'11", and Chicago has Connor Bedard, who's 5'9". They have Frank Nazar, who's 5'10". They have Oliver Morris, 5'11". Like they have small forwards already. So everybody's saying you can't win the Stanley Cup adding another small forward that's 5'11" or 5'10". So and if people want to challenge me on that, they can tell me when was the last time an NHL team won the Stanley Cup or made it to the semifinal with 2 centers under 6 foot tall. I don't know when it was.
I got nothing.
Eh?
I got nothing.
It would have been a long, long time ago.
Back before most of the players were using human growth hormone, probably.
Exactly. So that's why these so-called experts are saying that it's going to be somebody else than Higgins is going to go number 3. Not because he's not the third best player in the draft, but because Chicago already has a lot of small players. But you don't draft for need, you draft the best players. So if Chicago holds true to that, you draft Higgins and then you try to trade to pick up bigger forwards.
Well, I think that's part of what their smokescreen is they want somebody to trade up. Somebody who's at 5 or 6, like Boston or Philly, or somebody that's just behind them. They want them to trade up because they're probably happy getting a Porter Martone or Caleb Desnoyers. I think Desnoyers makes a lot of sense for them because I think he's more of a third line center anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great 2-way center. Yeah. So Caleb Desnoyers makes a lot of sense. Porter Martone makes a lot of sense.
And there's also rumors that they're trying to move up to number 1 with the Islanders.
Well, see, that if they could do that, I think they would. Because I think then they're getting Matthew Schaefer, who makes more sense for them than a James Higgins, like you're saying.
So Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa. Supposedly they want Misa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They want to trade up to number 1 to get. They don't want Schaefer, they want Misa.
Interesting.
Those are the rumors.
Well, if they see, oh, wow, how see the problem with that is because the Islanders would want if the Islanders trade back to 3, they're taking James Higgins,
Yep.
which makes sense. Okay, so that makes sense. If they can make it work.
Well, the Islanders, like, if they don't trade back, and the talk is they're not trading back, they're gonna take Matthew Schaefer.
I've
And you
heard
know
they were
what?
trying to talk to trade up to 3. I don't know how they work that out.
So, like, to me, it's you. If I'm the Islanders, I want, 3 plus a first next year, or for another first this year, and a prospect or a young player.
No way Chicago's trading their first next year.
No, I think Chicago has somebody else's first next year. I think they have, Florida's first next year.
Wow.
So, or protected first next. The Chicago's first, but protected, top 5 protected.
Yeah, well, anybody who's trading their first in the NHL is trading a protected pick next year.
Yeah,
Because it's
so
too much at stake next year.
it's you're getting there's quite a good player.
Well,
And
it's
that's
top
not just
5
one.
because there's 5 outstanding players next
Yep.
year.
Yep. It's top 5 are going to be amazing next year. So
okay, so let's say who's your best guess as to who Chicago? If Chicago's taking on the clock and Schaefer and Misa are gone, who's your best guess?
I think they take Higgins.
You think they're going to take James Higgins?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they're saying, like, remember Higgins had 22 points at last year's U18s. So set the new record for points for, like, ever. He had 9 points in 7 games as a 17-year-old, or 17, 18, as at the World Juniors. And he had 37 points in 37 games at the in college. I know that, like, and he was just an 18-year-old. Like, it compared to Macklin Celebrini, not the same thing, but he's not Macklin Celebrini. It's James Higgins, and his skating is out of this world good. So, and his compete is there. He's got great
He's more
hands.
of a Logan Cooley. I've been saying this for a long time.
And Logan Cooley had 68 points this year.
I will go on record and say I believe they should take James Higgins, but I don't think they will.
Who do you think they'll take?
I'm thinking Anton Frandel. I'm believing all the stuff coming out this week, because after the meetings last week and the interviews, I hear that Frandel interviewed very well with them, and
one of the things that was of concern for Frandel was his the compete, and not the compete, the his fitness level. And he was one of the best, the O2 bike.
Yeah, the O2.
Yeah. So I think he was third. I think he was third out of all the players at the combine. So that answered a lot of questions. So it wouldn't be a bad pick, because I think there's 1, 2. That's 1 cheer, Misa and Schaefer, and then there's 4 players. Maybe 5 if I include Jake O'Brien, but Martone, Higgins, Desnoyers, Frandel, and Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, and it can go in and see, and then you start throwing in guys like Brady Martin and Roger McQueen and and Jake O'Brien, like guys that have moved up in in
And
what and how they're being perceived. And I love Brady Martin, but I don't think I would take him in the top 5. I know I wouldn't take him in the top 5, but I can see a team jumping up and taking him. Is it Boston that's picking at 5, or are they at 6?
no,
It's Nashville at 5.
Nashville at 5.
Yeah. Okay. Nashville, I don't think takes Brady Martin.
It's at Boston's at 7, and I would put money down that Boston is taking Brady Martin at 7.
See, and that's like, yeah. And if not, I think Philadelphia picks right after them. And I think
No,
Philadelphia
Philly's
might-
at 6. Philly's at 6.
Okay, so
Boston's
Philly,
at 7.
if he gets past Philly and Boston, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, I agree. It's those are two teams that put emphasis on skill, but also character and aggressiveness and physicality.
And that's
that's-
Brady Martin.
Yes, that's what he
Brady
brings.
Martin. Like he's got skill, but he's just he's gonna freight train people, and like Boston's gonna love that. So the other player I wanted to ask where you thought this guy at, or who would be teams that would be looking at this guy, is the number 1 goalie in the draft, Joshua Ravensbergen.
To me, there's at least 3 teams that I think will want to go after him. Maybe even 4. Columbus needs a goalie of the future, and they have 2 picks. And this is, remember I told you, teams wanting the one that's the next subject about trades and stuff like that. Columbus is willing to move their 2 picks for help now. So,
Wow.
because they believe that they have enough assets and young players in a bank.
Well, they've got some good young players in the AHL.
So, yeah. So I think Columbus is one of the teams that Ravensbergen could go to. Nashville is another one.
I think Nashville is my thought. For sure.
Winnipeg. Because remember, Connor Hellebuck is not going to play until he's 50. And they don't have anybody in the system to take over for him.
They pick it like 24,
28.
28.
28, yeah.
I don't know that I doubt that Ravensbergen is still there, because I know that Nashville has a pick like three or so ahead of them.
Nashville picks 23rd and 26th.
Yeah.
Columbus picks 15 and 20th, 14 and 20th. And Winnipeg picks 28. So if he drops that far back, but in the 20s, there's 3 teams that I think are going to go after him. And yeah, the Kings also would need a goalie in the future. The Kings have 3 goalies of the future. So,
I think Nashville's the safe bet because they have the 3 picks, and I think they have 2 of them that are definitely in that range.
Yeah, 20, 23, 26, and they picked 35th also. So, and then they have 55 after.
Well, and the other one I was thinking that might, and this is a scenario that only if Ravensbergen falls, is Philadelphia, who's picking late in the first round.
Philadelphia picks 22nd and 32nd.
Yeah. With that 32nd pick, if Ravensbergen is still on the board, Philadelphia takes him.
I'm not sure, because doesn't that Philly have like quite a few goalies?
Well, Carter Hart.
No.
Although he's probably going to be acquitted. I just don't know that he's going to be there's going to be a suspension, and then he's a free agent, I think. So he'll be able to sign for anywhere.
They drafted Barnason Bjarnason in 2023 in the second round. And they also have another one.
You got 3 picks,
Yeah. So maybe.
maybe. But again, I think Nashville is the most likely. And so does my dog, apparently, who just
Yeah.
snarled at the idea.
No, I agree with you. Nashville is definitely in the running for a goalie. They need a
Okay.
goalie since they just traded Askarov and they don't have anybody else.
And for our Ottawa Senators fans out there, picking at 21, Ottawa Senators. Okay, two-part question. Who do you want them to pick? And who do you think they'll pick? And I can guarantee there's 2 different answers on that.
Well, if I would love for a guy like Carter Bear or Justin Carbonneau to drop for Ottawa.
Yep.
Malcolm Spence, I'm a huge fan of Malcolm Spence.
You and I differ on that.
And Bill Zonin is like, I'm a big fan of Zonin. But I think they're going to take, and it's drafting for need. I'm hoping that they get either Logan Ensler as a right shot D or Blake Fiddler as a right shot D, because they're desperate for a right shot D again. And I know that they picked up Yakimchuk last year, but I think they need it because Zub is not young anymore. He's close to 30, and he gets hurt for at least 20 games a year. So you need somebody else to come in. And I'm not saying the guy they're going to draft this year is going to be able to play, but you need to start to replenish the cupboard. And that's where, like, they need forwards and they need a right shot D. That's like the only place where they have a lot is left shot D. I find they have a lot of left shot Ds.
Well, I like the idea of Blake Fiddler more than I like the idea of Malcolm Spence for sure. And the other D was Logan Hensler. I think I like Logan Hensler better offensively than I do Fiddler, but I think Fiddler's going to be the better defenseman in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. I think Ensler has, like, he played at Wisconsin this year.
Yeah.
And he was 18 years old playing at Wisconsin. Like, that's a huge step for a defenseman. And so people are saying, like, oh, he's not handling the puck. He's not a good puck handler. He's a good skater, but he doesn't know what to do with the puck. Well, when you're 18 years old and you're playing against 21, 22-year-old players, you don't have as much time as you would in playing junior. So the time and space is not there. And that makes a huge difference. Also, another guy that I would like to see drop, but he's not going to drop, is Lyndon Lankovic.
Yeah, apparently he had a huge interviews at the what's it called last week? Oh God.
At the combines.
Yeah, at the combine. He impressed a lot at the combines. And because the thought was he was going to drop because of concerns about his effort and things like that. And I'm not, I would love it if he dropped to Ottawa, but I think he's going to go in the 10 to 15 range.
So with him, because he's 6'4", the experts are saying that like they expect him to be a power forward, but he's not going to be. He's not a power forward. Not right now. He's a skilled forward that it just happens to be 6'4".
Yeah,
So
4 penalty minutes this year.
yeah, he's not a physical player at all.
So yeah. Okay. Uh, Final question. We all know Matthew Schaefer's the top D man. How do you rank the next second, third, and maybe fourth D? Which ones do you think are second and third off the board?
I think right shot D's have a premium. So to me, the number two is going to be Radim Mrtka. Good skating defenseman, right shot. Came over to North America. I think that was the best thing he could have done, is to come to North America. I know he didn't have that good of a U18s, but I think if you look at his time in Seattle, he was really good. So and he showed a lot. And then after that, it would be for me a toss up between Ensler, Jackson Smith, and Kayshawn Aitchison.
Aitchison's really interesting because I like him. He had a lot of goals this year, and I've never once thought of him as an offensive defenseman.
So do you know who he reminds me of from when he came out as a rookie? Matt Dumba. Same, approximately same height. Guy that scored a lot of goal in junior and came out with the huge hit in the middle of the ice. You came across Dumba's area when he was in junior, and you paid the price that you didn't want to have to pay. So
yeah, I think Aitchison is my second favorite of the D after Mrtka. I'm soft on Jackson Smith. Like I
think Jackson, like, he's a good skater. He's 6'3". Like he's played well. Yeah, he wasn't great at the U18s again, but I think that any team that gets him after 10 is going to get an awesome player.
I'll agree with that. Like I think he's going to be. I just think that he's my fourth best defenseman in this draft. I would rather have Logan Hensler. I think there's just too much on Jackson Smith that makes me go, whoa.
So again, Ensler's a right shot D, so that's puts him ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, and if I draft Logan Hensler, I don't know that I want him going back to Wisconsin.
I think it would be good for him because he started to play much better at the end of the year than he did in the first half of the year. So
okay, well, that was a lot of draft talk.
So, I thought you wanted to talk about Mason West.
Yes. There's been a lot of private chat and private discussions lately amongst you and myself and a third GM who shall remain nameless, Zach. And we were talking about Mason West and because he's an interesting player. Like, there's a lot of, you put me onto him, and I did a heavy deep dive into Mason Smith, like short of like camping out on his front lawn. Like I was into this guy to figure it out. And anybody who tells me I'm taking a year off of hockey,
he's not taking a year off of hockey. He's going to play hockey at the US in the USHL for.
He's not playing. He's going to play.
Eh?
I read he's not playing hockey next year.
No. He's playing the USHL, and he's playing high school football.
He wants to win a state championship.
Yes,
for
but
his high school.
Also going to play hockey. Give me a second here because
Those are his words. He wants to win a championship for his friends or with his friends in high school. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for that. I really
Yeah.
do. And now what's being said behind the scenes is he's really trying to audition for start our quarterback job at the University of Minnesota, which again, a lot of respect for that.
Fargo. He played the
Fargo.
last 10 games in Fargo and played 2 games in the playoffs. He's going back to Fargo to play in the USHL while going to Edina High School, where he's going to play football to try to win a state championship. So he's going to do both again.
I understood that he was only doing the one.
No,
And if he's only doing the one, and I have no problem with him doing that, if I'm an NHL GM, I'm passing on him and I'll wait a year to draft him. If he's playing hockey this year, then that would change my evaluation.
see, he is playing hockey this year. Just a
Call
minute.
up the article that was sent to me. Where is it here? We can read it together. Is this it? Is this it? That's not it. What's going on here? Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's look for that again. Because this is, oh, that's that. Where is it? I know I read it.
Okay, just a minute.
Anyway,
I'm looking
while we're
for
looking
it
for this,
right here.
I have no problem with a kid at 18 who is trying to
I
figure
think
shit out.
some people are Zach is sending us a message.
Oh, that's probably the article.
Yeah. So
Okay, West to finish high school career after combine.
yes, but he's gonna go
I'm posting the article up here so you can read it.
back to Fargo.
And then I will play football in the fall and then head to Fargo. So he's going to play football first. And
Yeah.
then after football is over, then he'll play hockey.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I have no, and the fact that he's saying this up front and he's telling people, I respect. If I'm an NHL GM, there's no way I'm taking him until later rounds.
So
Somebody
again,
will take him earlier than that.
what I said, I told you before, is it depends what team is drafting. If you're the Ottawa Senators and you have pick 21 and then pick 64, or yes,
It's 64 and then like a third round pick or a
yeah,
fourth round pick.
a third round pick, which is going to be
Late third and early fourth.
96, 95 or 96.
Yeah.
And then 97, they have the first pick. They have San Jose's pick first in the fourth round. So unless he drops to you in the third round, you are not taking him at 21. Because if he doesn't pan out, if he decides he's going to try to play football, and it was all just talk for him to stick to hockey, then you just wasted your pick. But if you're Philadelphia, where you have 7 picks in the top 48 in this year's draft, don't you take a shot at him at pick 32?
And again, we were talking about this before the show. And I think that's a brilliant move for Philadelphia because he's not going to count towards their 50 contracts because they're not going to sign him till well past this has been decided. And when and if he decides to come and play hockey, then you sign him, and then you're only gambling on a late second round pick when you've got enough of them. Like
Yeah.
I think that's genius if Philadelphia does that. I can't see myself unless I'm in a situation like that where you're just throwing darts against the wall. Because the upside is there. Like I agree. I have seen enough of this kid to go, okay, there is reason for me to go, okay, wait, can we make this work?
Yeah. So I'm looking at Montreal also. They have two in the first, 16, 17. They have their own pick and Pittsburgh's pick. And then they have 3 third-round picks. And next year and last year they had 2 seconds. Their cupboard of prospects is pretty full. They're number one by McKeen's magazine, that they have the number one prospect pool in the NHL right now. So Montreal would be another team that, maybe not at 16, 17, but you try to trade up to, to try to get him at the end of the first or early in the second if he's still available. So that's what I can see happen.
Well, the final thing I'll add on it is the fact that he says he wants to play hockey. Let's keep in mind, people, that we're 2 weeks out from the NHL draft. He isn't going to say, I don't want to play hockey.
Yeah.
He wants every GM in the NHL to think / know that he wants to play hockey.
He might change
keeping
his
options
mind
open, and he's
in the
smart to
fall.
do it.
And he might change his mind in the fall when he wins a state championship and
University of Minnesota says, "Hey, buddy, full scholarship, come play for us."
Or Louisiana.
Sure, any NCAA school.
LSU comes in and says, we want you to be our QB. Alabama, they say, we want you to be our QB.
Come make friends with our football players and you'll want to win a championship with us. Like I'm just saying that what he said is exactly what someone should say in his situation. And you shouldn't be reading into it that, whoa, he's going to play hockey.
Yeah.
He's first of all, he's 18, which is like, if he said he wanted to be a fireman, does that mean he wants to, come on, let's keep in mind what we all thought we wanted to do at 18. And,
yep.
I was going to be doing things that made a lot more money than hosting a podcast for 37 followers. He's saying exactly what he should say.
Yep.
And
I agree. He is saying what he needs to say to make sure he gets drafted early.
Yeah. And
to keep his options open.
Exactly. Because he's young and he doesn't know what he probably doesn't know whether he wants to play football or hockey. And he probably has one he likes more than the other, but he's 18. No. He doesn't know shit. Like every 18-year-old that's ever walked this planet.
I don't think he gets past the mid second round. I think he gets drafted before, pick 16 in the second round.
Yeah.
I think he gets drafted before that.
And I'll bet you in the DCHL draft, he goes earlier than where he goes in the NHL draft.
Completely agree. And you know why? Because what I just said about teams with multiple draft picks. You have Nashville that has 5 first-round picks. You have Seattle that has 6 first-round picks.
Ottawa has 1.
Ottawa has 1.
They're not taking Mason West.
Florida's not reaching for Mason West at 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, at 29, if Mason West is still available, even if he goes middle of the first round in the NHL draft, I'm not going to do it. Sorry. Unless he comes knocking on my door and says, Steve, I'm playing for you. So yeah, Mason West. There we go. We had the Mason West conversation. Thank you for reminding me. That was good. Well, anything else that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about DCHL trades are opening up, and it's nice to see.
You want to go over them?
Yeah, we can go through the trades, and then I want to talk quickly about the the players that are on the market in the NHL, which I think is just crazy. The amount of like the guys are the rumored to be on the trade block.
NHL salary caps going up. Like that.
And
That's
you
the root of
have
it.
you put that together, but you have teams like Buffalo, Nashville, um, Columbus that are saying, "Hey, we're ready. We want to win now. We're tired of losing." So, but yeah, let's go over the trades, and then we'll come back. There's one trade that is not here yet, hasn't been posted yet. That's a huge trade.
What is it?
Um,
It's not on page 2.
no, no,
These are all
Justin.
trades, by the way, guys, that were agreed to before the season ended. And you guys need to find other hobbies. Like seriously. This is like
So,
this is
but it's half the league that is out of the playoffs.
and they
So
don't want us to
after a
talk
while,
about they don't want us to talk about the draft. And this is
after a
what you get.
while, so, but Pasternak is going to Tampa Bay, and Sam Bennett.
Oh yeah, that trade. That
Yes.
like Kalen, buddy, you should have sold them separately and got way more. Like
Oh,
in one guy's opinion.
so it's I think
Okay, so
it's
let's
two
just talk
first,
about the
two
big ones here.
seconds, and two prospects
Okay.
for Bennett, and so just so you know, Steve, that's going to make you feel better. The Atlantic is getting better.
Yeah, I know.
So,
We've been calling this for a couple of years, and
yep.
it's here.
Since we started this show, we've been
Yep.
saying it. It's just a matter of time.
And
Detroit
I only
is
have
getting
myself to
better.
blame because I've been doing the draft lottery and always just giving it away to Atlantic Division teams, company excluded, of course. Sorry.
Yep. I know. Thank you very much. The worst thing that could have happened to the Florida Panthers
Yeah,
was
you dropped this
to
year.
drop to 4-8, and I dropped to 4-7, which is the second worst thing that could have happened.
Randy pays better.
Thank you very much.
Randy pays much better than you, Jean.
Obviously.
Okay, now we've known about this Poitras and the first round picks trade for a while.
So Seattle now owns picks 3. If I might be wrong here, but according to my list, Seattle owns 3, 11, 13, 20, 27, and 32.
I should update that, and now that they're up and posted.
I might be wrong.
Should.
I didn't check see if there's any other trades that happen, but I think that's what I have.
But I mean, he paid. Actually, I don't hate this trade for Zach, except that he gave up his first round pick next year.
Yeah, unprotected first round pick next year.
Unprotected, which when he made this trade, everybody, I tried to trade him Alex Ovechkin, by the way. Thinking, hey, at least then he'll move up and
well, that's what I just said.
What?
Zach confirmed 3, 11, 13, 27, 32. So
I like 3, 11. Like this year, the draft falls off a cliff,
but you know what? Oh, he did 20. He doesn't have 20. Okay, well, somebody else has 20. Sorry.
As the guy with pick number 29, I can tell you there's not 29 guys that I want to draft.
Okay, so I've been looking at the draft, and as you know, I've been studying the draft, and yes, there's a tier, I think at 2021 where like there is a difference. After 21, I think it drops off. But there is a lot of guys that I'm starting to like from 21 to 32, 40. They're
Okay.
all going to be, they're in a bunch. They're in a group.
Okay. So this is a good conversation because
So I
okay,
traded, I
after
traded,
no, but let's talk about this for a second.
yeah.
Because after what point in this draft, who is better than a third line forward or a fourth, fifth, or sixth defenseman? Okay.
Just a
And
minute.
I'm going to say Logan Hensler is better. Like, I'd say he's maybe a 3 or a 4.
Wait a minute. So
Where's Braden Coots?
Braden Coots,
Like, second or third line center.
yeah. But like I think you have guys that are like have the potential to be like I see like Lyndon Lakovic in some rankings dropping to 29.
I'll give you Lyndon Lakovic as a second line player.
Sasha Boumedienne is end of the first, early second, and I think he's a top 4 defenseman. Henry Brustevich, I think I didn't butcher that name.
Yeah,
From the London
40th on
Knights.
this list.
He's 33rd on my list here, and I think he's a top 4 defenseman. It might take him a few years, but I think he'll end up being a top 4 defenseman. So
I just don't know that there's like Bill Zonin you mentioned earlier. He's a great example of a guy that I think can be a second line forward.
Yep,
he can be.
So here's where I think, like I'll give you Bill Zonin and Shane Van Zaghi. Okay, I think both of those guys can play on the second line, but they're not line drivers. They're going to be a complementary player on the second line.
Yep.
So to me, you're still getting good quality. It's just like, is it going to take longer? Yeah. Will Orkoff is in the second round right now.
And he had an amazing
Combine.
Thank you again. Jeez. Okay, he had an amazing combine, and he's going to be moving up my list.
So
right
Jacob,
now, sorry, what he's like 37th here.
Jacob Wozniak, like high-end scorer. I think he belongs in the top 6 of a team. Not a line driver, but top 6.
Yeah.
So, like I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, oh, I like him and I like him. And they're not like, I'm telling you, I traded Utah's pick earlier at the trade deadline, and I regret it because I didn't think that there would be any players, and I regret trading that pick.
Well,
so Zach is going to message me, say, I'll give you Utah's pick if you give me my first, which is number 4.
Let me know if he accepts that.
Okay.
What was I going to ask you now? Okay, as someone who wants a center, like I would like a second line center.
You would like a second line center?
Yes.
At pick 29.
Okay, well, at the time I wanted it, I was hoping it was pick 17. And even at pick 17, frickin' Ian had to keep winning.
Yes.
But
You're
at
at
pick
pick
17, I was like, I don't know that there's a guy that will be available at pick 17 who would be now. Carter Bear would be the only guy that I might think would be a second line center that would be available at 17.
Yeah, but you're at pick 29.
Pick 29. There's if Carter Bear slips to me at 29, Jean, I don't
Here's
think you'll need a lot of time to decide who I'm going to pick.
so I've got a few guys for you. Okay, Will Orkoff. I think if Will Orkoff is there, you
Isn't he a
jump on
winger
him.
though?
No, he's a center. Okay, 6'4".
Oh,
He only had 10
yep,
points in 18 games, but he played at Michigan
yeah,
this year.
where he didn't
And
get a lot of ice
for
time.
half the season. By the end of the season, he was like playing really well. So
Yeah.
if you get Orkoff at 29, jump all over him. Jack Nesbitt, another 6'4" center.
Okay, I am big on Jack Nesbitt, perhaps because of my links to Windsor,
Yeah,
but like again, he's not a second line center though.
I think he's got the potential to be.
Wow.
So,
I would love
and
to have if Jack Nesbitt is there. If I have to choose, it'll be tough between him and Horkoff.
and two other guys that I think I didn't rate high, but at 29, I think they have potential. Jack Martag from USCDP.
Yep.
He is still 17 years old. He is turning 18 in August. So, like, I think he's turning 18 20 days before the draft or something like that. So, young player. And I think a guy that is probably still going to be available in the at 29 in the DCHL because of his size. But Ben Kindle, 99 points this year in the Western League.
I'm sure you watched the Hooked on Senators podcast where they talked about Benjamin Kendall.
Yes.
And I was big on him before. And the fact that now it would be a pipe dream for the Senators to draft him because of his size, because I think he's 5'10", 5'10",
Yeah.
5'11",
5'10",
like
5'11". Yeah.
He's
5'10"
not big. And
No.
Ottawa, I can't see Ottawa taking him just because
Ottawa's not taking him.
But could you imagine him? Like that would be. They compared him to Claude Giroux.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, that's the kind of guy. And plus he plays with Yakimchuk. Again, pipe dream. But if he's there at 29, he's not a center. But he's a guy I would consider taking. Same thing with Bill Zonin. Same thing with Ravensburg. Actually, I'm sick of having shit goalies.
So
there's lots of guys I'm thinking about. But
and another guy for you, and I might be ruining some guys' draft list right now by throwing out all these guys. Riker Lee.
He is on. I believe he is actually. I'm going to scroll off my list here so you can't see this, everyone. But I'm going to. I think he is in my first round on my list. I will tell you, Riker Lee. Everyone who's listening at this time, and I'm going to update this next week when I have some time off from work. Right now, he is number 32 on my list. I like Riker Lee.
Skating still needs work, but the hands are out of this world good.
And right ahead of him is Shane Van Sagi.
And Riker Lee has grown, I think was it 4 or 5 inches in the last year or something like that.
And there's no problem with human growth hormone.
Exactly.
In hockey.
Yes.
Because everyone knows 17-year-olds grow 4 inches in a year.
So now I need to ask you about Jack Ivankovich.
Okay.
5'11" and a half.
Yeah.
His dad is 6'5". What do you take a chance on him saying he's gonna grow 2 inches? Because if he grows 2 inches to 6'1.5", he's an NHL goalie. And at the skills he's got,
Okay, but he struggled in the second half of the year.
but he was awesome at the U18s. He stood on his head at the U18 for Team Canada. Like he's the reason when they won some of those games.
I to me, it's where you're talking about drafting him. Like most players, it's where, like, I don't know that he goes in the first round.
No. But do you take him in the second?
I don't have a second round pick, but I am someone who's going to be considering goalies this year in this draft. Like, it's quite likely I will take a goalie.
So
And
I am.
he is a guy that I might take. I have a third round pick, and like I doubt he'll be there for me in the third round, but he is a guy that I would consider heavily with my third round pick.
Yeah, because
I don't hate him.
If he grows 2 inches in the next year,
Human growth hormone. Well, no, because
he
so
becomes
many
an
of these
NHL goalie.
kids, hey, like it is not like it does happen that a 17-year-old will grow 2 inches or whatever. But these kids are growing like 4 inches, and like there's so many of them. And it's like at some point somebody has to say, wait, come on, guys.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So, but it's because I think somebody asked him when they saw his dad, and they said, "What happened to you? Like your dad is 6'5", you're 5 foot nothing." So
You traded Blake Montgomery?
yeah, I did.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I got an early second round pick. I took a late, I think the last pick in the fourth round from last year's draft.
And a third round pick.
And a third round pick, late third round pick.
But Montgomery had a plus year.
He did.
Outperformed his draft slot last year.
He did, absolutely. That's why I was able to get an early second for him.
I don't like that trade, Joe.
So
I mean, okay, I don't like that now, but like, what do you get in the second round? And somebody, I say this every year, somebody always falls.
thank you very much.
So, I mean, when you sit there and you get Ilz Wozniak in the second round, then I'm not going to say it was a bad trade. Like, it really depends on who you get.
There's always somebody that drops
every year, guys. And this is why you guys that trade, and I've said this to Zach, you guys that trade draft picks that are, when you're not on the draft floor, are crazy, because somebody always drops, always. And there's a list of players that have dropped that.
And I drafted a lot of those guys. But for me, I'm at a point where I'm looking for quality, not quantity. So I've traded a lot of my late picks for future picks and for early picks this year. Yeah. Because I need quality players. I don't need a lot of guys. I need top line guys. I'm looking for first line guys.
We bitch about this every episode practically, but the 60 asset limit, but it starts to come into play.
Yeah,
it starts to come into play because the 60th best player has to, like, if you're trying to build a team, I can get a fourth line center for nothing in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can get a fourth line player.
Yep.
So what's the point of me drafting a guy who's going to be a fourth line player in the NHL? Like, it'll take 5 or 6 years before he's even considered rated.
Yep.
and then probably 7 years before he's rated well enough to be on the fourth line. Like why?
No.
Like I get the guys that sell their draft picks, but I'd rather take a flyer on a guy who could be a second line player in the seventh round than get $1 million.
But I'm at the point, Steve, where I'm at the 60 player limit.
I know that's my point.
So I have to
Get rid of
two
get rid of
picks.
assets.
Like I traded picks number 3, third and fourth round pick this year for early third round pick next year. How do I know it's early? Seattle, Steve.
Yeah,
Seattle's pick.
I know. I didn't want to say that. We're live right now, Jean.
Okay, sorry, Zach. But I'm just looking at. I know my pick is going to be early next year.
Yeah. No, it's
It doesn't. You don't need to be a genius to look at the team and say, even right now, even if I get a couple players, I'm still not going to be a top of the league team. So it's
but you're still the brains of the show, Jean.
oh no, right now everything is proving that I'm not. So
Well, I have $5 million that says it's me, and I know that ain't the truth. So I know it's not the truth. Okay, so I don't know. What else do you want to drudge up here?
The trade Frank Zaravali's trade list.
Frank Zaravali.
Yes.
How do you spell Zaravali?
SERVAVALLY. Trade board.
Okay. Trade board. There we go. Is he daily face off? Is that what I want?
Yeah, daily face off.
Okay. Here we are. And if Buffalo trades JJ Peterka, they're the biggest freaking morons. Because he was not the problem.
No, but you know why they're trading him? He doesn't want to sign long term. They want to keep him. They want to sign him. They made him an offer. He's saying, I don't like playing here. I don't want to sign long term.
Well, he doesn't want to play here because they're not winning.
Yeah.
But start winning. Like,
he doesn't want to sign long term. So Peterka, like 68 points last year as a 23-year-old on a shit team.
And a guy who slipped in the draft in 2020.
Yes.
And I got him because he did.
Did you hear Pierre Dorion's interview? It's he did 2 interviews in French. One was Processus. Thank you very much, Flax, for sending me that interview. And I can't remember the other one. But in both interviews, he talks about in 2020, Ottawa had pick number 32 because there was only 31 franchises at the time.
Yep.
And they were debating between Tyler Clevin, JJ Peterka, and Roby Järventie. And because the draft was in the fall, not in June, they saw Järventie play for about 2 weeks before the draft. And he was very young for the draft. So they said, oh my God, he's going to be awesome. And like, he's a big Finnish winger. He's going to be awesome. So they took him over Peterka.
And they regretted it.
Yep. So Chris Kreider's already been traded. Salary dump.
Yeah.
Marco Rossi. I can't believe Marco Rossi, again, 23 years old.
Why would they be trading him?
Because I don't know.
Because they're coming out of cap hell in the next year, right?
But he's a pending RFA, and he is like He's on the board. He's going to get traded. I can't believe that they want to trade him. And because between him and Minnesota, things are not working out anymore.
Bowen Byram?
Byram, not surprised. Bowen Byram, like Buffalo he's an RFA. They already have two defensemen, that one in Dahlin that they pay 11 million, and aren't they paying Owen Power like 7 million also? So they can't afford to pay Byram 6 or 7. So, and he's a left shot. Marchessault is interesting because he's got 4 more years at 5.5 million, but he's 34 years old. Do you want to have to pay him 5.5 when he's 38? But in 4 years, the salary cap might be 125 million. So 5.5 million at that point might not
Rasmus
be.
Anderson. They've been talking about trading Anderson all year.
Yes. But he's got a no trade clause. Like I think it's like a 15 or 10 or 15 team no trade clause. So he wants to be traded. Carlson, because now I'm hearing Pittsburgh is talking about doing a rebuild. What's his name? He's not on this list now. Kunitz.
Yeah.
He's on the block. And the other winger, Rickard
Reichel,
also on the block. Raquel, also on the block, and Carlson.
Connor Murphy.
No big deal. K'Andre Miller, big left shot defenseman, 25 years old, pending UFA, but he wants out, and the Rangers want him out.
I don't feel like he's been the problem in New York.
It's like, and then you put in like Jason Robertson is not here on the list. Mitch Marner's not on the list.
Well, Mitch Marner's a UFA.
Yeah, but like he's still a player on like in the rumor mill. John Tavares is not on the list. So
there's Morgan Riley. I've heard them talking about Morgan Riley.
Yes, Morgan Riley.
He's got a no trade as well.
Yeah. So, and Elias Pettersson is also on the block. He's
I just don't see them getting anything for Elias Pettersson.
So I'm just saying there are so many players on the block or in rumors right now, and it's big names. I just find that it's fascinating how it just changed so much this year. And as you said, the cap is going up.
What's it going to be next year? Like
95.5 million from 88. It's going up $7.5 million. And then a year after that, it's going up to, is it 110? I think he's going up $15 million the year after that.
How are teams like Columbus, Ottawa, even Winnipeg? Well, look, okay, Ottawa and Winnipeg at least got some playoff revenue this year. Columbus hasn't had a penny of playoff revenue. Like, how are they going to pay $110 million salary? They can't. There's no revenue sharing.
Yes, there is revenue sharing.
Okay, it's minimal though.
It's minimal. Yes.
It's not like NFL where they split the gate revenues for every game. Like it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of teams, they won't be able to spend 110, 120, 125 million.
Yeah, I don't know how the league, like, is it going to be good if the league drops down to like 20 teams? Because 110
No,
million.
I'm telling you, the league is in as good a shape it's ever been. Like, do you know that the next well it started this year that just finished, but next year Monday nights is owned by Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
So when
And
Amazon Prime,
they run a shit game.
yeah, but you like, do you remember the time when the NHL was selling their rights to oh my God, who was it?
Are you talking about NBC when they had the
No,
shit
no, it was
contract
like
with NBC?
no, it was they NBC got out of the like broke their contract with the league because the league was like, you're not
Oh, the
covering.
Outdoor Life Network or something. Like it was
Yes.
some like remote
So,
network that
yeah,
nobody had on cable.
yeah. And they said, well, we're gonna get so much better coverage. But if nobody's watching, how can you get better coverage? Like, you know?
I've watched games on the Prime network, and unless it was Ottawa, I never went back. Like to be honest,
Yes.
because
And and I
it
understand,
was
but I'm
not a
just
good
saying
show.
that's money coming in.
Okay, but
Like
it's money
the
coming in.
TV,
But
what's the name? Rogers bought the TV rights again for like 3.8 billion, something like that, for the next 10 years. That's huge money. They weren't getting that before. They were getting a fraction of that.
it's because I pay for the NHL Center Ice package every year, and that ain't freaking cheap, man. Oh, you
So,
want to hear something funny?
yes.
This is true. Um, I had I had canceled, or no, I didn't cancel it. They kept billing me, or not billing me. They kept letting me watch it, but they'd canceled it on me
Hmm.
without billing me. But I was able to watch it for a year and a half without having.
Really?
And Dawn called my wife. Sorry, John knows who my wife is. Dawn called in to book for another channel or something, and that's when they caught it.
And they're like,
And
hey,
they pulled the plug on it, so I had to call back the next day and actually pay for it. But it was like a year and a half that I had been getting it for free. I feel really bad that Rogers lost out on my
yes,
three hundred
lost out on.
dollars or whatever it was. But
Um,
so yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's where they're making their money, and it's Canadians because they don't pay the same amount for the NHL Center Ice package in the States is what they
no,
charge us.
no. So,
So yeah,
yes, I agree with you that the small market teams are going to struggle.
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough.
Yep.
So well, even some of the media market teams, like $110 million salary cap. Like I worry about my team.
But think about in 2004 when the NHL went on got locked the players out. Detroit had their salary cap over $80 million. That was 20 years ago. 20 years later, they're gonna like the salary cap's gonna be at 110 million. So that's only a 30 million increase for some teams. For
Okay,
those teams,
but what was the league's overall salary at that point?
oh,
Because
uh,
Detroit might have been at 80 million, but some of the bottom
not
feeders would have been at like
yes.
30 million.
Oh, not even lower than that. They're like 20, 25 million,
Yeah.
the bottom feeders.
Okay, but that's my point. So if you
Yeah.
added up the entire league, because I'm sure
Yeah.
Toronto had a huge salary
Yep.
at some point in there. So that would have been around when they were picking up Owen, what's his face from San Jose?
Oh, Nolan.
Owen Nolan, the guy who called his shot on Dominic
Yeah.
Hasek. So
So
yeah, I get it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not becoming a Leafs fan no matter what. So
No, absolutely not.
can't do it.
Can't.
Can't
I
do
won't
it.
start. I
Do it.
won't watch hockey.
I wouldn't say I'm a Edmonton Oilers fan right now, but I am rooting for them.
Yep. I'm cheering for Edmonton because I
And it's
want a
not just because they're
Canadian team to
Canadian.
win. Because it's like been too long now.
Okay, that's a big part of it. I'm not going to lie, but I really want Connor McDavid to win the championship. He is
So
top 5 players all time.
Justin asked me a question last night when Edmonton lost to lost the game 5. If Connor McDavid never wins the Stanley Cup, where do you rank him as one of the best players in the ever?
Okay, Gretzky or Howe. There's my top 3. If he wins a Stanley Cup, I could see myself moving him into the top 3. Connor McDavid. If not,
See, my top 3 is Gretzky or Lemieux.
okay, you can make a point for Lemieux being ahead of Howe. So okay, Gretzky or Lemieux, Howe are my top 4, and we can argue about the order later.
Yeah.
Now I know you want Sidney Crosby in your top 5.
Oh, Crosby, absolutely top 5.
Jean Beliveau.
Beliveau wasn't he like, oh no. No.
See, but who's a better player, Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid? And if you go based off the Stanley Cups, I can see your argument being Sidney Crosby, but better player. Like I've seen both their careers, and both were phenomenal players. But I think Crosby at his best isn't as good as McDavid at his best.
I agree with you. Because Crosby has been as consistent a player as ever been. Look at his stats. 20 years in a row of being over a point per game player. 20 years in a row. If you talk about consistency, that's consistency.
But okay, so you agree with me that McDavid at his best is better than Crosby,
Yes.
but you're saying the strength of Crosby's argument is his consistency at an elite level.
Yeah. But do
I'm
you
not
put
going
him
to
fifth?
argue with that. What's that?
You put him, you put McDavid fifth if he doesn't win the cup.
This is not an easy end of a show conversation.
I know this could be. Let's keep
Because
that and bring it back.
I part of me wants to say yes, I would have McDavid ahead of Crosby, but I could I mean, McDavid's career's not over yet either. I think if McDavid wins a cup, it's easier for me to say yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if McDavid doesn't win a cup, I have a hard time putting him ahead of Crosby. I mean, if you're putting cups as a determining factor, then why aren't you saying Jean Beliveau, who won like 15 of them or something ridiculous?
10.
Like
10 as
10.
a player and probably another 5 as an executive. So, and the reason is because I don't think Beliveau is a top 10 player. And
we're not even talking about Maurice Richard.
Yeah, and I think the Rocket is ahead of him. I think Nick Lidstrom is ahead of him.
Oh, I don't think.
I think Messier is ahead of him, and I think Jagr is probably ahead of him too.
Of Beliveau?
Yes.
Oh man, we need to do a whole show on this.
Yes, we do.
We need to do a whole show on this. Like, wow! And I would like to say that I have not done a heavy deep dive into who I think.
Because I think to me, Lidstrom is like right behind Crosby.
Okay, Lidstrom's a great player, but I don't think I'd have him in my top 10.
The guy's didn't he win 6 Norris?
Okay, like I'm not saying he's a shit player, but I think I'd take Paul Coffey over Nicholas Lidstrom.
Oh no, never. Never. We need to never,
What?
never.
What?
Okay. Okay, I don't know how to do a poll. Let's do a poll on the DCHL
Okay,
website.
you think I trust those guys to be able to decide something as important as this? Oh, they can't even decide. They can't even decide that the Perfetti Ekblad trade should be up for discussion. Sorry, Mike Chiletto, had to get that in there.
Yes, he
But
should be up. It should be up for discussion.
I I was actually thinking of making that a topic for tonight, actually. But I mean, at the end of the day, I honestly don't give a shit about who wins trade of the year. I mean, of all the things, I'm going to spend my time on, not that. I would much rather do an entire conversation on like top 10 NHL players of all time.
And just a side point, this is starting to be a really long show because we haven't.
It's your fault.
I know it is because I keep bringing shit up.
Normally it's mine. I will say that.
So, trade of the year, like to me, stuff like that, should be like instead of getting cash at the end of the year, you should be getting DCHL cash and give more money to the Stanley Cup winner.
Who, honestly, who gives a shit about who? Because okay, how do you decide who wins trade of the year? Because some guys it'll be who had the trade that was
Well,
most impactful, who had the trade that was and a
I'll
guy won the trade. Like I try to think
I'll
of it as like what trade
okay.
was
So let's go with the
good.
deadline trade. Okay,
Okay.
deadline trade. So I picked the LA Fiala going to Detroit for Caden Lindstrom and $1.4 million.
I think
And
I
the
picked the
reason,
same one actually.
so and the reason why I did it is because Detroit wanted to go for it, and they took one of his best young assets, number 4, pick 4 overall or 5th overall last year, for and he got Fiala who at 50% retention to try to get it to improve. So the value of the players that was in the trade to me was really, really good. So that's why I chose that trade.
Okay. Like I picked the same one. I picked it just because I felt it was a really good trade for both guys doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So then for trade of the year, my top 3,
Yeah.
I took that
I only
one.
voted for 2.
Okay. I voted for that
My
one.
third vote was for Ekblad and Perfetti. Honestly, that's what I decided to do. I'm voting for 2. My third vote is for Ekblad and Perfetti.
So that trade was the Capitals and the Canucks, and the reason why I chose that one is because Swayman and Reinhart brought the Canucks to the Stanley Cup final. The Canucks needed a goalie. He stepped up and he gave up Caulfield and Buchnevich and 2 first so that he could get his goalie, which it worked out because it took him to the Stanley Cup final, and he still got Sam Reinhart as part of the deal. And I'm still flabbergasted on the fact that Giants trying to trade him now, and I don't understand that, but that's okay. And
Yeah, I
then
think we voted exactly the same on this one too, because I voted for Marner, the Marner.
Yeah, so did I. So did I.
And my fourth best after the Ekblad Perfetti trade would have been the McKinnon trade.
See, I was debating between the McKinnon trade and the Bo Horvat trade, and I went with the Bo Horvat trade.
What?
Bo Horvat, Brandon Carlo, Mark Stone, first and second round pick for Iafallo, Vass, Nybers, Pietrangelo, Comesso, $10 million, and
but look at Okay,
two
but
first
look
and a
at
second.
all of these trades. Okay, most of these trades are a guy who's tanking trading players to a guy who's going for it. Like that's most of these trades. There's very
Yes.
few of them that are actual hockey
Yep,
trades.
I agree. I agree.
And like it just seems like it's every year it's the same guys that like I'm sorry, Nathan makes 100 trades. He's gonna win one of these trades of the year.
Anybody, he's not.
Well, okay, but the
Right
odds
now,
are that a guy he's won it in the past though, and he's nominated for how many of these trades? Like I like why aren't we awarding best draft from who had the best draft in 2020? Now that we're 5 years down the road, who had the best draft in 2020? Who had the best free agency in 2020? Like we have that data. Why aren't we awarding that? Like why are we awarding who won best
because
trade?
because besides the two of us, nobody wants to look back and that information.
Okay, but
Nobody else would take the time to do that.
it matters. It matters for shit, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's stuff that keeps the league entertained, right? We're doing it for fun. So my
Yes.
point is, instead of giving cash, like I think it's $14 or something like that, instead of giving $14 to three different GMs, give them $2 million for every, if you're one of the top three trades, you get $2.5 million. That
Sure.
goes towards your salary cap,
Sure.
your cash.
Well, I mean, we get paid to do this show by the
Yes,
DCHL.
by lots of money.
Yes. I believe I
So,
got $14 last year.
yes.
And I put that right back into DCHL cash.
So that's what I do.
So the league
Also,
really just give me the DCHL cash. I'd be happy with that.
exactly. Then you take the money and you give it to the Stanley Cup champ or, the division champs or whatever.
Yep.
That's just my opinion.
So you're not prepared to quit your job and do the podcasting for career?
I would, but I'd be living on the street because I
Oh
wouldn't be
my.
able to, pay for
We'll,
anything.
we'll share a newspaper in a cardboard box.
I know exactly. We wouldn't even be able to pay for Wi-Fi anymore.
Two bald guys eating at a shelter.
Yes. They can't afford Wi-Fi.
With that
would-
image in everybody's mind right now, why don't we?
That's a 2-hour show, eh?
Yeah, I know. And I was like happy that we were going to be done in an hour. Like, I'm like, hey, this is great.
One more thing before I go. Highly recommend Locked On Senators annual mock draft.
I started
It's-
listening to it today.
If you have 6 or 7 hours to kill, they have other podcast hosts that come and join them, and the information on that is fascinating for me. So,
Well,
and
if you watch the video, you'll see some comments in there by one of the two bald guys. Well, that was me because it was my YouTube, whatever. And I want to point this out, Jean. We both love our wives, but if we ever became single, think what it would be like to be married to Rachel Dory.
okay.
She knows more about hockey than I'll ever dream of knowing.
Yes.
And she's good looking and she's smart as shit. Like it's like every hockey guy she is their dream. Because she just knows. So, like oh my God, she's smart as shit. She's cute. And like, you just listen to her talking about the draft and it's like, my wife, I talk about the draft and you can see the eyes glaze over and okay, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. I try. My wife asked me, "What are you doing?" Just doing some draft research. And she's just like, "Ugh, again," walks away. Very annoyed.
Yeah, she's going to a support group with my wife. I'm just saying.
Yes, yes. So
But yeah, Rachel Dory, guys, highly recommend listening to her, like talking on the draft, because holy shit. But that whole show, I got to I think it was pick 18 where I had to pause it. I'll get back
yeah,
to it tomorrow. But
yeah. I didn't get to pick 18 yet, but I think I was at well. I was listening. Rachel is doing pick 9 to 12, eh?
yes.
So that's where I was. I had to pause it. So
And if you buy your wife a white hoodie for Christmas, I know what you're doing, Shan. Okay, now with that image and
with that,
everybody,
I will end the show. I
we'll
don't have
end it
anything
there.
else to bring up.
I am a big fan of Rachel Dory. Like, I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie. I'm a huge fan. I was a huge fan of her more before today, but I mean, she didn't hurt her cause today. Like, she's a genius and she talks hockey.
Yes.
So, okay. I'm sure she's watching this show right now, just like I was watching her podcast.
Her show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Okay.
we'll see everybody probably next week. And the draft's coming up. I'll be posting in the next couple days about the schedule for the draft and whatnot. So anyway, take care and we'll chat.
Have a good night.
We'll talk then.
Yes.